All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. We are live. Good evening, everyone. We are live tonight. Good to see everyone just popping in here. Whoa, y'all amaze me every single time I go live. But it's good to know that we've got some great supporters of this channel, each and every single one of you. Thank you for being here tonight. Let's warm up the house as we always do. We got Candy Cane 82 up in here. First one up in here next to Double Rainbow. Miss Double Rainbow's holding it down in blue. Thank you very much. Third in place, Miss Liplock No More. I know you're modding right now, but you hope to catch the Okay, much love to you. As always, Miss Liplock, I know you're busy. We all get busy at around this time. Good to see you anyway. Thank you for showing up and dropping some love in the chat and on the channel. Tanya M, Miss Tanya M is up in here again tonight. Hello to you, Miss Tanya M. Much love to you, Miss Jackie Barty is here. She says, Mr. Q, how are you? I say, I'm fine, thank you. And you? So I'm fine and well. What you got for us tonight? We are definitely going to get there, Jackie. Teresa Upchurch is in the house. Teresa, how are you? Much love to you for being here where the wind blows. Thank you for being here. Where the wind blows. I think there's a song that I remembered by, I think it was Sam Cooke, Blowing in the Wind or something like that. Great song. Where the Wind Blows. Thank you for being here. Mr. Charlie K is up in the house. Mr. John Q. Hello, sir. I'm doing good, Charlie. Had a great day today. Hope y'all did too. Beautiful out. Beautiful. In New York, it was gorgeous. Not too hot, not too cool, da-da-da-da, but nice. Nice enough to know that the day went very well. Thank you. Connie Hillaker. Hello, hello, Miss Connie. Good to see you. TT. How are you, TT? I subbed to your channel too, by the way, TT. You did? Yes, I did. Yes, I did. So I'm sure you've noticed maybe a few numbers going up. We'll get you promoted. We'll get you promoted. We'll share that love. Absolutely. I just got a like on the Table Talk Live that we did on Monday. Ooh, that popped right up. Thank you. Thank you for the like. And for those of you who haven't checked in yet, please hit the like on your way in. Shows the attendance to the chat, and it shows support to the channel. Thank you, Miss TT. Miss Lorraine is up in the house. She giving me a thumbs up already. You go get him. Go get him, Q. Dazed and Confused. Oh, is in the house. Dazed and Confused. I saw your channel. I think you had a Jody Sue video on there. I guess from I guess you were sharing the information and remembered the name. Well, thank you for showing up. Thank you. Love and support goes to Dazed and Confused. We don't want to be that way too long, looking for the truth. That's what we're doing in here. Thank you for being here. Who else we got in here? Molly 13. How are you, love? Thank you for being here, as always, Miss Marley. All right. I love Mr. Q. Oh, we love you back. I love you back. All them hearts. Look at all them hearts she draw. Okay. I can't miss John Q's lives. You be doing the damn thing. I hear you, Tanya. Thank you. We try. We try to do the damn thing, to keep the damn thing moving. That's what we do. So tonight, I want to thank you all. And the room is going to start to swell, as it normally does. I like slow. That way I can read the chat. You get 1,000 people hit your room all, and there's no way you can read anything, not unless you slow the chat. Then begin to read the chat, and you're already a half hour behind. Because you can't read it all. You got to get to your content. So thank goodness I don't have that problem. See, it's all in how you look at things. All in how you look at things. Always. Miss Katrina is in the house. I lost my phone. Took me a while to find my channel. Okay, Miss Katrina, welcome. RJ, Conversations Living Room is with us in the house this evening. RJ, how you doing? Good to see you. Let's give RJ a blue suit. You got a blue suit, Mr. RJ. Wear it well and hold the fort down. We don't get into too much trouble in our chats, thank goodness. We've done some spring cleaning, and so far, so good. Good to see you. Thank you for the new suit. Okay, you're welcome. RJ, you changed your name? I haven't gotten any alerts. Oh, well. RJ, you better talk to Charlie. Ain't got no alerts. And that was another thing that was brought to my attention about notifications. There are a lot of folks not getting notifications when I go live. So that's why you have to double check to unsubscribe, then resubscribe, because sometimes I don't know if the algorithm knocks out anything, up to 3 months or whatever. But I'm paying careful attention to that. There was a couple of comments that was left on Monday when we did the Table Talk Live. And 2 people mentioned, I didn't get notifications. I said, uh-oh, okay, thank you for telling me. I said, I'll keep my eye on it. See what's going on. Because we like for everyone to get the notifications to be a part of the live when we go live. Okay, cool. Okay, that's good. You got yours. Okay. Give me a sound check type of 1 in the chat if I'm coming in loud and clear so we can begin tonight's live. The best is yet to come. We got some updates. So we're going to give you the updates as we get them. Let's go to work. All right. Welcome back. Welcome, Carrie Ann. Welcome, Miss Carrie Lawson is in the house. Welcome. Tonight we're going to get into some updates concerning several cases. Wanted to cover that and our progress on a couple of new things we've come across since Monday, which has been explosive all the way up until today. Most of you have been with us on Monday night. We had a special table talk with Miss 54 Keyz and Mr. Boss Blake pertaining to a new project that has taken off and is beginning to heat up. We're going to get the wildfire, that's for sure. And this special project will consist of a roundtable panel covering the cases like you've never seen before. And we're going to talk a whole lot more about that later on in tonight's program. But it's been a lot of buzz. I'm starting to get some buzz from Facebook. Now, I don't necessarily use Facebook, but I did get a couple of emails from some folks and, oh, saw your video. Oh, that's awesome. We're going to go over some of those comments that I did receive from the special Table Talk Live. If you haven't seen it, put it down to watch. It is an awesome live. It was a great show that we had for some absolutely phenomenal guests. Miss 54 Keyz, Mr. Boss Blake. And with that said, we got to get busy throwing up stuff because we're going to get busy sharing stuff. We got to do it around here. Last time we covered a case, they decided to bump me off, but we're going to be very careful tonight as best as we can. Don't want to start all over again. I want to get into some of the important aspects of the updates. Mr. Boss Blake is in the house. Much love to you, brother, Boss Blake. Much love to you. Okay, so tonight, our first update obviously is going to be an important update regarding the California City Boys, our classic and sincere. Y'all remember classic and sincere, our two boys that went missing back in December of 2020. And we all saw how that case unfolded. Since then, the adoptive parents made a phone call, 911 emergency phone call, said the boys went missing. That was Jacqueline and Trezell West, who happened to have moved from Bakersfield to California City, California, back in the early months of September of 2020. Made it there to California City, California, and in the month of December, made a strange 911 call to police stating that Classic and Sincere, also known as Orrin and Orson West, went missing. Since then, we've given updates on our channel to cover developments in this case, and by golly, they're happening. And the developments that we're going to cover tonight are coming right out of the court. both Jacqueline and Giselle West. The DA, Cynthia Zimmer, early this year came back at a press conference to inform us that a grand jury had indicted both Jacqueline and Giselle West for second-degree murder, felony child abuse, and making a false police report. This is now in motion. We have an upcoming court date that's scheduled for October 24th, which was pushed up from July 25th. A second indictment, separate from the first, came down in regards to manslaughter charges. And a conspiracy to commit murder. There was a minor child that is involved in this case. We mentioned that to you before, and it's shocking when you read the indictments to know that there was a minor in regards to this whole tragedy as to what happened to the boys. They still are missing. They have not been found. We know some folks have lawyered up tight. We know that there is a gag order in place. And we know that Jacqueline and Giselle West, their attorneys, are fighting for time right now because of the voluminous amount of information pertaining to this case. So tonight, we give you an update direct from one of our primary sources. You know, if you're following court, the best place to go is obviously Court TV. So we're going to see exactly, this is one of the most recent updates from Court TV. And I wanted to make sure that we covered this information pertaining to an update concerning our California City Boys. Thank you for all the ones in the house. We have got Miss Lorraine Muhammad is up in the house. Thank you, Miss Lorraine Muhammad. Peace and love and blessings to you and yours. And we got Double Rainbow is always working tonight. Thank you so much. Blue Devil G is in the house. All right. So let's get to this update and we will discuss some of the developments. So with that said, I'm going to mute up.
Shut the gate. Go in the house. Why did it take both of y'all to go in the house and leave them outside by themselves?
I understand.
And y'all know the gate was
why
open.
Why haven't y'all been out with the people around this neighborhood looking with the kids? We already told on camera.
I didn't see y'all on no cameras last night. I didn't even see y'all out here praying with them people. Them people was out to take care of my nephew. This not supposed to happen.
I understand.
Y'all was supposed to take care of my nephew.
I understand.
That was a look back at some of the initial outrage that the biological family of Orrin and Orson West felt when the boys went missing in December of 2020. For those of you not familiar with Orrin and Orson's story, Brianna Willis, a reporter with our great affiliate KERO, has more for us on the Cal City toddlers.
Where are the boys? Where was December 21st, 2020. Orrin and Orson West, also known as Classic and Sincere, were first reported missing in California City by their adoptive parents, Terzell and Jacqueline West. Days after that time, the West parents telling 23 ABC they understand that people would accuse them of the disappearance.
And that's understandable.
What's your response to that?
That's understandable. I would think the same thing.
And the Cal City Police Chief John Walker assuring the community his department was looking for clues day in and day out at the start of the investigation.
We're just trying to dig up anything, any clues that we can possibly find to find out where they had gone and also to confirm that they're not in the backyard.
The disappearance prompting a massive search effort involving not only Cal City Police, but the Bakersfield Police Department, the FBI, and the community. Then month after month, the community rallied together for searches, marches, and vigils, all to find the boys.
Where are the boys? No boys, no bees! Where are the boys? No boys, no bees!
And reward money for information and the return of the boys continued to grow in 2021 as local businesses, community members, and a private investigator joined the search efforts for the boys.
There was some elements that stood out about the foster families' interviews that pretty much compelled me to participate and come out and do what we could to help find both of these boys.
Billboards with the boys' faces and the rewards started to appear in February 2021 in Kern County. But after 8 weeks, Cal City Police confirmed they have no suspects in the case. In March 1st, 2021, the Bakersfield Police Department officially took over the case. They continued the search in Cal City and Southeast Bakersfield for the boys, issuing a search warrant to the adoptive grandparents and more than 20 more search warrants in the case. It wasn't until June 2021 BPD gave an update on the case, announcing 170 items have been seized, 83 individuals have been interviewed, 44 search warrants have been conducted, 16 mass area searches have been done, 3 searches outside of California, and 200 plus tips have been received and followed up on. But still, the boys have not been located. Then month after month, the community continued to come together with prayer vigils and hoping for answers for the boys. But December, nearly 1 year after they were first reported missing, BPD provided an update saying since June, they executed 4 more search warrants, interviewed 33 more people, conducted 11 mass area searches, and 4 out-of-state searches. During the 1-year anniversary, we spoke to the biological family who said they just want answers.
Some kind of answers. It's been a year. We deserve something.
Yes, yes.
That's, it's only right.
Orson's biological father saying regardless of the circumstances, he will always be here for the boys.
I still got them. They should know that I still love them, that I'm always going to have their backs regardless of the fact those are my kids. Like, you know, that's something that you'll miss in life that you can never get back.
Now, just 14 months after they were first reported missing, the Kern County grand jury indicted the adoptive parents, Terzell and Jacqueline West, for the murder of Orrin and Orson West. They were arrested March 1st around 7 p.m. near Highway 58 in Enos Lane. Kern County District Attorney Cynthia Zimmer announcing the investigation unveils that the boys are dead. But Zimmer added that the bodies have not been found, and now the family is still searching for answers.
The question is now, where are the boys' bodies? We want to be able to bring them home and, give them a proper burial.
Searching for answers, and now Orrin and Orson's biological mother and grandmother have filed a civil rights and wrongful death lawsuit against the adoptive parents, Terzell and Jacqueline West, along with the Kern County Human Services and the California Department of Social Services. Let's bring back in the think tank to break all this down. Still with me, the Deputy Public Defender for LA County, Philip Dubé, former Senior Homicide Prosecutor Bernardo Villalona, and Criminal Defense Attorney, former Prosecutor Brian Watkins. All right, think tank. I was a child advocate for the state of Georgia and oversaw child deaths and problems that were systemic issues throughout the state and the nation. Children should really never, ever be removed from parents unless there's a risk to those children. And then if they have to be removed from the parents, the whole goal is reunification. And they certainly should never, ever, 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 ever be harmed if they're placed with relatives or foster parents. So, Bernardo, let me start with you in this case. What happened?
It's what didn't happen. It's what led to the arrest. It's the lack of emotion. It's the lack of a rapid response. It's the lack of participating and looking, try to find these two kids by these adopted parents that didn't happen, which actually led to this arrest. You know, I remember when Vinny first aired these two kids missing, and so sad to see these two beautiful boys. And the response that these adopted parents had, I was like, there's something that's just not right with this. The way that they're responding and talking to the media just did not make any sense to me. So I wasn't surprised that sooner or later they will be charged in this case.
All right, but we have to keep in mind these two beautiful, you're right, beautiful young boys are still missing. So Brian, as a former prosecutor, tell us how difficult, and that happens a lot, but how difficult is it to try two people for the murder of two children whose bodies have not been found?
It's very difficult. And one of the problems with these prosecutions is we don't have a cause of death. We don't know what happened. And so it's tough to say that they were killed. Well, what's the evidence of that? You know, missing and killed are two different things. And, you know, there's an argument that they're still alive somewhere. Children do get abducted. Children have been known to be abducted and live for years with the person that abducted them and turn into adults. And those types of situations do happen. So the defense is going to have those arguments to prove beyond, you know, to attack the prosecution to say, we don't know beyond a reasonable doubt what happened to these young boys.
All right, Philip, if you're the defense attorney, do you think that they have found evidence in that house that convinced them they killed these children, whether it was blood, whether it was, who knows, photographs, who knows what might have been in that house?
It sounds like the grand jury heard some type of evidence, maybe some type of forensic evidence, biological evidence. So for example, let's say in the house or in one of the cars, they found some serological evidence, which basically is a fancy word for blood. Given the age and the size of these kids, depending on the quantity of the blood that was discovered, you can infer a death, as opposed to just someone getting a splinter or a paper cut. You know, you would expect maybe just a droplet. The other thing they may have found too is maybe letters from the school saying the kids haven't been there, they're truant, where are they? Maybe they interviewed doctors, who knows, maybe they interviewed family, friends, relatives. We don't know what they have because the grand jury proceedings are secret. But be it as it may, a grand jury has found probable cause to believe that a murder has occurred. Now, to be fair to Department of Children and Family Services, you know, absent some evidence of abandonment, abuse, or neglect of these kids, I don't see why a social worker or employees of Department of Children and Family Services are even implicated.
And let's talk a little bit more about that, because one of the issues that they are alleging, and that's the biological mother and the grandmother, is that the Department of Social Services and the Kern County Human Services intentionally ignored the biological family's request for reunification and then placed the boys with Trezell and Jacqueline West for financial gain. I want to read some of the complaint to you. It says the state of California Department of Social Services incentivizes Kern County Human Services to ensure that foster children are removed from the foster care system within 24 months. In late 2018, the defendants worked in concert to have Sincere and Classic Pettis, also known as Orrin and Orson, removed from the foster home of LaToya Spry and placed in the foster home of Trezell and Jacqueline West for financial gain. At the time Sincere and Classic Pettis were removed from the foster care home of LaToya Spry, Ms. Spry was assisting the plaintiffs' efforts to accomplish the reunification of their family. The defendants then worked in concert to place Sincere and Classic Pettis in the foster care defendants Trezell West and Jacqueline West. Plaintiffs assert that the foster care home of the defendants Trezell West and Jacqueline West was a state-created danger. Now, the thing I notice as we read through that complaint is a lack of details to really tell you specifically what they're alleging. That gives general notice, what we just read, of what they're saying. But I can tell you this. I know that there is information indicating that this biological mother, Philip, in response to your thoughts about how they could be liable, actually had written letters to the Department expressing concerns about the health of her children. They were losing weight, scratches and marks, and never got a response. So, Bernarda, is that enough to say, department, you need to be held responsible?
Well, it's not enough in of itself. However, it does cause us some kind of pause and concern, because if you have this woman telling you that she has seen her kids and those kids now weigh less and also have scratches and marks, there's a duty by the state to actually go and see and inquire as to, are these allegations true? Is this really happened? Because in the end, the primary reason that you remove these kids from their natural parents is because you saw that there was some kind of cause or danger or concern that you felt that they couldn't be safe within their own parents' custody.
And Brian, let me add some facts alleged in this lawsuit. The biological mother and the grandmother allege that, number one, grandmother was interested in having the children placed with her if they couldn't be returned to the mother. And number two, that they weren't given enough information or reasons why the children couldn't be removed from the home where they ultimately or allegedly had been killed, and placed back with them. And so how does that fit into a civil lawsuit against a department when the children were left in the home that now they're accused of being killed in?
You know, they're playing Monday morning quarterback here. You know, if they were taken from the adoptive parents and put back with the mother who had the children removed in the first place, and something happened to the kids, Health and Human Services would be sued and say, why, you took them for the mother in the first place and you gave her back to the mother, you knew the mother was bad, and now the mother did something. And it's the same thing here. So it's a double-edged sword for Health and Human Services. I don't see any liability here unless they knew of some dangers and then did nothing. I find that hard to believe. I don't know if they have any evidence to prove that, hey, we know these kids are in danger, but we're going to leave them with these adoptive parents. That's hard for me to believe. I think that they're upset. And of course, when something happens, somebody wants somebody to pay for it. But could this have been prevented? I don't know. I mean, they're not deliberately placing children in homes that they think that something's going to happen to those children. I don't believe that. I don't think a jury would believe that. I think the lawsuit basically has no merit.
And I agree with you. I don't think they ever purposely placed a child in harm's way. And I will say the complaint does have a lot of systemic issues raised, and it may not be that a lawsuit is going to prevail on systemic issues, but certainly we'll have to wait and see.
Certainly we'll have to wait and see. Do you all see how this case has been stacked? Hold on one second. Okay, thank you. The cards are really stacked in this case. You not only have grand jury indictments for both Jacqueline and Trezell West, you've got civil cases going on at the same time. For the boys, in regards to how the family, the biological family, was treated, in regards to getting the boys back, and of course, Child Services, Department of Human Services, whether they did their job correctly is still yet to be known. Was there a certain timeline? Was someone lagging in reference to getting the boys? Were any of the biological family ready to go in to get the boys? Did they go in to get the boys? So there's still a lot of questions pertaining to the timeline as to whether or not they could have gotten those boys back before the adoption took place. The final adoption took place. So there's going to be a lot coming out of this case. I wanted to just give you a Court TV perspective update as to a lot of the issues that is currently surrounding this case and what's going to come, what's going to develop from this. So you know that there's going to be a lot, especially with the defense attorneys for both Jacqueline and Trezell West. With all of this mounting information, you can just imagine how overwhelmed they could possibly be at this point. Carol Smith, welcome. Jennifer is in the house. Jennifer Nobles is in the house. Welcome, Jennifer. And so understanding the dynamics of how many moving parts consist just of their case alone, it's incredible. But yet, one, high profile. Two, a lot of agencies are involved in this. Got police agencies involved. You've got the DA's office involved, defense attorneys involved. You have the child protective services that are involved. You've got the family services are involved. You have the families of the boys that are involved in civil cases. I mean, the cards are stacked in this case. And for me, I'm ready for this thing to hit the court already, so that we can start to get to the bottom of all of the questions pertaining to what happened to these boys. Why does the district attorney, approved by a grand jury indictment for second-degree murder, know that the boys were deceased 3 months prior to the 911 call? That's going to be the evidence I'm going to be looking for. I'm sure you are too. No, it was not the bio parents that did this. No, it was the adoptive parents. And yes, Jennifer, the bio parents are not in jail on murder charges, amongst other charges. They're talking about the adoptive parents are in jail, where they belong and where they should stay for doing what they have done since day one and making that crazy, phony 911 call at that time, knowing damn well that they didn't have those boys with them out there in California City, California. I mean, that's just my take on it. To have all those folks, boots on the ground, searching for all those days, all those weeks, all those months for the boys out there, only to find out that 3 months prior to that 911 call, something happened to those boys. And according to the second indictment regarding manslaughter charges, and now it appears as though that there is a minor that's involved. That is a smoking gun, folks. That is a big smoking gun. I am waiting to hear, as you are, what is going to come when that time comes for that individual to testify in court. What are they going to tell us? What are they going to tell us? Obviously, the primary motive for Jacqueline and Trezell West is money. 6 kids, all under the ages of 12. They're in their early 30s, at that time, taking on 6 kids. So you can imagine what kind of control, if any, they had of all those children all at one time. All at one time. But for them to have turned around and did what they did, hell, they should have just gave the boys back. It would have made it far easier because you had a wanting family who wanted them back. The biological family wanted the children back. If you couldn't take care of those 2 children and knew that, and yet stressed and struggled to take care of them because you were getting paid monthly for them, yet somebody snapped, something happened unexpectedly to change everything in the livelihood of those boys. Anyway, oof. I mean, I get to, I get it. I get to feel. This case has been on me since I started covering it, and the feeling that you get, especially if you've done the research or followed the cases as deeply. You get that feeling. Lord have mercy. I'm glad they're not. Both Jacqueline and Giselle are not in front of me. They'd go missing. But we'll see what happens. We'll see how things develop from this point on. But I wanted to make sure you got that update. Things are unfolding. A number of content creators, I believe Miss Crenshaw has done an update on her channel pertaining to the second indictment. She walked her viewers through that indictment, both the first and the second indictment, so that there is a distinguishment, if you will, of all the charges. I think she did an excellent job. I was able to catch a good portion of that live, and I'm glad she did that. So much love to Miss Crenshaw and Miss Roro, family member that's been going through sheer hell, is trying to get to this point. Let's go to court. Let's get to the bottom of this. And much love goes out to Miss Roro and all the family members, all of the people who supported looking for the boys, putting out flyers for the boys, billboards for the boys, and stayed in constant communication pertaining to the boys. That is our first update for tonight. Yes. Yeah, I got chills. You get those chills. You get those chills. Our next update pertains to a case we had just got finished reviewing, which is the Breonna Taylor case. For those that have been following that case, we also know that there was an indictment handed down from the federal grand jury in that case, finally, on 4 police officers who were all indicted for the cause of Breonna Taylor's death. I wanted to bring you an update. If you hadn't seen the case investigation in our last live covering that case, we covered a lot of detail. We covered analysis. We covered a lot of information. So go check that live out so that this way you can be brought up to speed as to where we are with the case. I wanted to do a follow-up pertaining to the indictment. Coming from the courts, Oh, great. I contacted several boots on the ground and Brianna's aunt to contact you. Thank you, Carol Smith. Yes, if they would like to talk to John Q, come up on panel or just email me. I'd be more than happy to accommodate them. We would love to hear directly from family members because we're in support of Breonna Taylor's case. We hope they go to jail for the rest of their life for doing what they did to her. And the suffering, pain and suffering that they imposed on their family. So let me get that loaded up. Thank you all for joining us. Tonight's special live, The Best Is Yet to Come. We're going over updates pertaining to casework. So let's get to it. Once again, I'm going to take you back to the court TV. All of the information that I'm posting on tonight's live will be in the description box. All links to the information sources will be in the box as well, so that this way you'll have easy access to reviewing the information as we cover it here tonight. Well, let us go to the courtroom. Once again, reporting on this story is Court TV, giving us the update. Yep. Oh, there it is. I want to make sure that we got a wide screen here. 1, 2, 3 sound check. 1, 2, 3 sound check. Just to make sure we are in good play. Good to see everybody here. So with that said, let's put things in motion.
Not guilty of wanton endangerment in the first degree under instruction number 4, as that applies to Cody Etherton. Verdict form number 2, as to Chelsea Nepper, we, the jury, find the defendant, Brett Hankison, not guilty of wanton endangerment first degree under instruction number 5. As to verdict form number 3, wanton endangerment first degree as to Zayden F., we, the jury, find the defendant, Brett Hankison, not guilty of wanton endangerment first degree under instruction number 6.
There you saw former officer Brett Hankison being acquitted of charges of wanton endangerment in state court back in March. You saw that trial playing out here on Court TV. And those charges, of course, stem from that botched raid that took the life of 26-year-old Breonna Taylor. But the charges, to be very clear here, against Hankison in state court were not relating to Breonna Taylor. They were relating to her neighbors in the apartment next door. And you saw in that video Hankison fighting back tears as that verdict was read, understandably relieved to be walking out of court a free man. But today it was announced that Hankison is once again facing charges, this time in federal court. At a press conference this morning, Assistant Attorney General Kristen Clark explained why they chose to indict Brett Hankison.
The grand jury charges former LMPD Detective Brett Hankison with using unconstitutionally excessive force during the raid on Ms. Taylor's home. Without a lawful objective justifying the use of deadly force, Defendant Hankison traveled away from Ms. Taylor's doorway to the side of the building and fired 10 shots into Breonna Taylor's apartment through a bedroom window and a sliding glass door that were both covered with blinds and curtains. Community safety dictates that police officers use their weapons only when necessary to defend their own lives or the lives of others, and even then, that they must do so with great care and caution. Today's indictment alleges that Hankison's use of excessive force violated the rights of Breonna Taylor and her guest, and also of her neighbors whose lives were endangered by bullets that penetrated into their apartment. Attorney General Garland often underscores that at the Justice Department, we are to follow the facts and the law. And today, after a full and comprehensive investigation, the facts and law have brought us here to these indictments.
Let me bring back in my guest, standing by, attorneys Rick King, Judge Kimberly Bando, who's also a private criminal defense attorney and former prosecutor, and retired DEA Special Agent Ted Golden. And we're working to reconnect with attorney Joe Brewer. We seem to just lost his connection, but hopefully we get him back. He has experience doing federal prosecutions. Judge Kimberly Bando, I want to go to you, please, on this one first, because we're really focusing in on Brett Hankison here and the charges against him. Two separate indictments that came out. And the one with him, what struck me that's, very different here from the state court charges is here we do actually have a charge pertaining to Breonna Taylor. We didn't have that with the state court charges. This one is saying that he essentially deprived her of her rights in that incident. You have been a frequent guest on Court TV Live. You helped us analyze that trial with Brett Hankison, and I know you'll recall him testifying. He took the stand. It was very emotional testimony at certain points, and as I'm thinking about what's ahead for him, and I want to really tap into your criminal defense experience, Judge, when you think about what's coming now, if you're representing him, how concerned might you be with all of that prior testimony being out there and potentially coming in the federal court case?
You're very concerned, and you're going to be focusing on making sure that everything that he has said in the past is the same thing that he says now if he decides to testify. Because any and everything that he said at the trial is a part of the record. And if he veers or offer any fact, anything differs, they're going to be trying to impeach him with everything and anything that they have. So he's going to have to be very careful about what he says, what details he remembers. And if he doesn't recall something, he doesn't need to make it up. Because if so, they're going to hammer him with his own words.
Appreciate that, Judge Kimberly Bando. And we have attorney Joe Brewer back reconnected with us. Joe, I want to tap into your experience as a former federal prosecutor. You do private criminal defense work now. You really know your way around both sides of the courtroom. But thinking like a federal prosecutor does, I'm looking at this indictment against Brett Hankison, and what's standing out is the charge pertaining to Breonna Taylor. That's standing out to me. There is a charge pertaining to the neighbors being allegedly deprived of their civil rights. But in your view, how strong is this indictment against Brett Hankison? Is it going to be something that would be very difficult for him to go up against in federal court?
So the ammunition of the statute, 18 U.S.C. 242, is a potent weapon. That's what the DOJ uses in police-involved shootings. It carries up to life in prison in a case like this involving the death of the victim. The problem is it's a difficult statute to satisfy. You have to meet the willfulness component, and you have to meet the deprivation of rights on the basis of race or color. And it's likely they didn't even know she was in there. The frustrating part about this case and the good part about this case is that it's not exceptional. It happens every day. And everybody on this panel has sort of testified to that fact. Unfortunately, it has become commonplace to be at war with our citizens. The law makes space for it. It is the norm for law enforcement. And we've become far too comfortable with basically giving leash and permission for exactly these kind of interactions. The problem with proving it is precisely because they didn't go in with any intent with respect to Brianna one way or the other. What you're basically having to satisfy is an intent statute with something like reckless disregard. So there's some real proof complications here. I think it's useful. I think it's going to be useful as against some of the defendants, but it's not as easy as I think everybody wants to feel. And again, there's a difference between the injustice of her death and what can be proven in court. And that's why these cases are brought less seldomly and why they're difficult to accomplish.
Joe Brewer, thank you so much for that. You all are teaching us so much tonight. Big thank you to our power panel, Attorney Joe Brewer, Attorney Rick King, retired DEA agent Ted Golden, and Judge Kimberly Bando. Truly appreciate your time and expertise tonight. Looking forward to seeing you all back here on Court TV very soon.
Okay. And welcome, Miss Queen Talks Crime. Much love to you. Thank you for joining us this evening. I miss you. Left you a phone message too. I know you'll get back to me. But yes, covering the grand jury indictment, federal indictment on these 4 police officers. As we've covered it in our last live, these 4, Officer Kelly Goodlett, Officer Brett Hankinson, Officer Joshua James, and Officer Kyle Meany. All 4 were indicted with federal charges. In this case, civil rights charges, which are involved in depriving Breonna Taylor of her constitutionally protected rights against unlawful search and seizure. And these officers colluded and conspired together to falsify a warrant, have it signed, have that falsified information signed off by a court judge. They turned around and served on Breonna Taylor the night she died. Hence, things went south. Now they find themselves caught up in their lives, and now federal indictment charges against them for depriving Breonna Taylor of her constitutionally protected rights. And when we covered it in our last live specific, we heard from the Attorney General's office and the Assistant Attorney General specifics to that those indictments. Each one indicted for their part in this case separately, but yet together. As we know, Officer Kelly Goodlett was the one who was given the information that turned the other 3 over. We also know that Breonna Taylor's mom and her attorney, Benjamin Crump, got the news and they were delighted because it took 2 long years of their life to struggle to get to this point and get federal charges and a federal indictment against what happened. The last time they were in court, it was through the state. And we saw what happened there. Only one officer, Brett Hankerson, the one who was shooting through the windows in the patio recklessly and without any kind of control whatsoever, we saw that he was acquitted of those charges. What they need to do, and what I think is going to happen, is that the former Attorney General, one who worked with the courts, should have his office audited for how he handled that case. I think someone brought up a very powerful comment and left it on my case story on that live in reference to that. I said, I hope they audit his office, find out exactly how he handled that case, what evidence he turned over, if he turned it all over, because I shook my finger at him because of the delays. that he produced in pushing that case to the state. So yeah, if there's anybody that needs to be looked at, he needs to be looked at too. He needs to be looked at too. So when going back and covering what we did cover in terms of the analysis and dynamics of that night, the shooting event in that month of March, and how those officers breached that apartment, or you saw for yourself. And knowing that Hankerson was the officer that went outside of the building premises and started firing through the patio and the windows with the blinds closed and the curtains drawn. Recklessly, bullet holes were riddled inside of the adjacent apartment where a 5-year-old was with his mother, and she was pregnant. She was pregnant. And the state didn't convict that officer for his recklessness? Wanton endangerment, they called it. They said, no, you did your job. Don't worry about it. Case closed. Not by the feds. I said, wait a minute. We got to take a look at this package one more again. And they started finding inconsistencies up until they found out that the information that was put on the search warrant was false. And not only by one police officer, 4 colluded to protect themselves and lied. And not only that, they tried to cover it up. They tried to cover it up. So as much as we've covered in reference to the residents being breached that night, we now know that these indictments are serious indictments. And we also know that the Assistant Attorney General is going to play a very, very important role in making sure that justice is served for Breonna Taylor. She didn't have to lose her life that night. She would still be here today had those officers did their job properly, according to the law that they were there to enforce, to protect and serve her rights just as well as anybody else. But no, it didn't happen. What I believe is going to happen needs to happen. And what is going to happen that needs to happen is justice to be served on all 4 of these officers. And anyone that they find that were in collusion with them, helping them and assisting them in the cover-up. Hands down. Hands down. I go to the chat. It's a little bit of an update on the Breonna Taylor case regarding the federal charges against those 4 police officers that was brought recently. And I hope you're enjoying the live tonight. I want to throw a special thank you and shout out to Miss Lorraine Muhammad, who just sent me an appreciation. Thank you, love. Thank you so much. I just noticed on my email, I said, okay, I got an email. Well, let me check it. And I said, oh my God, okay. Okay, true support, true love of the content that we're providing on my channel. This is what we do, folks. This is what we do. We get into a case and we follow it until it closes tight. Gail Thornberry is in the house. Hello, hello, Miss Gail. Much love to you. All right. I wanted to scratch that off. I wanted to make sure that if Mr. Boss Blake is in the house, there was yes, I know you're here. I know you're here. No problem. Mr. Boss Blake is in the house. Wanted to make sure that we cover yet another story that he covered on his channel. And that pertains to a case in regards to Brianna Grier. And so, does anybody see Mr. Boss Blake in the house? Oh, okay. Yeah, Mr. Boss Blake is in the house.
Hey, you know I'm always be here when you ask me to be here.
I know you are. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. I was just listening in.
Great. So we've covered some case updates, I'm sure you're aware, regarding the California City Boys Classic and Sincere, aka Orrin and Orson West, as a startup to tonight's updates, followed by Breonna Taylor's case. And when I saw the name Brianna again, I said, oh, wait a minute. We got another Brianna?
Yeah.
And hence you had your covering information pertaining to Brianna Grier. Could you tell us a little bit about that particular case?
Yeah, Brianna Grier, I want to say this happened a few weeks ago. I want to say maybe close to a month, if that, is a young lady who the police was called out to her home, or to her mom's home. She does have some type of mental illness that has been documented. And by the time the police got there, that's when we start to see the footage. And she was a little irate and emotional to the point where, they had to pretty much pick her up and put her in the police car. Watching this particular footage, it just brought me back to a lot of different cases that I've worked, a lot of stories that I've seen when it comes to mental illness and those who actually have mental illness issues that are documented. Not where we're talking about like the Buffalo shooter or the Uvalde shooter. We ain't talking about that where you wonder. We talking about documented issues. And in this case, no, she wasn't shot and killed because of her erratic behavior. That wasn't the case this time. The thing about this case, it was, to me, negligence of the police. So fast forward, make a long story short, they finally get her, put her in the police car, the back seat. They had to pretty much throw her in there. That's the best way I can explain it. And they did that from the driver's side, the back seat of the driver's side.
Right.
Slammed the door. Other cop got in his car. He got in the car, made the call to the station, let them know they're going to bring in a patient or suspect or whatever you want to call her. He's driving. And next thing you know, you see him slam on brakes, get out of his car. She's on the side of the road. She jumped out the back seat of the passenger side. Now you ask, how is that possible?
Right.
Do anybody know what they supposed to do when you're in handcuffs and they place you in the back seat, if you can't reach across and put that seatbelt on yourself, they should, right?
Exactly. That's what they're supposed to do, is to be sure that you're secured back there when that vehicle is in motion.
Right. And especially the way they just threw her in there.
Right. Now, do you have that short video clip?
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing that, so we could take a look at that particular clip.
Sure.
So that it would give our audience, it would give tonight's viewers a visual as to what had occurred when she was taken into custody by police. And brace yourself, folks. I just wanted to make sure that we have a specific warning here.
I'm gonna change my audio settings real quick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go on mute for a second.
We want to make sure that we cover the bases again. I know that this is coming from a news source that Mr. Boss Blake had tapped into regarding this particular case that we're talking about, Brianna Grier. And just to give you some case information before we go there. All right, so let's do this. Before I do that, let's do this. I'm going to go into this article a little bit so that this way we can get a little bit of a foundation as to how this story unfolded. So here we have an update on August 9th of 2022 at 8:26 a.m. from Marlene Lenthang, who wrote this article in regards to Brianna Grier, the Georgia woman who died after she fell out of a patrol car last month, died of severe blunt force trauma to the head, said a doctor who reviewed medical records at the request of the victim's family. Do I have I'm getting background. Oh, okay. I was like, okay, something taking a shower. Grier, 28, was having a mental health crisis when her family called for help at their home in Hancock County on July 14th. Hancock County Sheriff's deputies put Grier in a patrol car with handcuffs and no seatbelt on, and failed to close the rear passenger door before they drove off. She fell from the moving vehicle and died 7 days later after having been in a coma for several days. This is Brianna Grier's picture. Dr. Alicia Wilson, the director of the Autopsy and Forensic Service at the University of Michigan, shared the preliminary results of an independent review commissioned by the Grier's family Monday, alongside civil rights lawyer Benjamin Crump, also the attorney for Breonna Taylor. In this case, the cause of death is consistent with the severe blunt force injury that occurred inside the head, she said. And this is the Dr. Alicia Wilson, director of the Autopsy and Forensic Service. Wilson said it was likely that Grier hit her head on a hard object, causing her brain to move and swell, aka a TBI, traumatic brain injury. Grier suffered 2 fractures, both on the left side of her head, as well as swelling of the brain, or cerebral edema. And her brain structures were compressed, Wilson said. Wilson showed CT scans of Grier's brain appearing to show a scalp hemorrhage and a fractured underneath of the left side of her brain. She noted that the hard impact to one side of the head can cause the brain to move inside the skull and injure the opposite side. That was the case with Grier, Wilson said, pointing to a part of Grier's brain diagonally across the fractured site. This is a large subdural hematoma, and that blood that is underneath the dura on the right side of the brain. In this case, these injuries were very severe and indicate a significant amount of force to cause these types of injuries, Wilson said. Georgia Bureau of Investigation said Grier's body would be taken to the GBI crime lab for an autopsy. The results have not been released. It said the case remains under investigation. That's to give you just a preface to this story.
Now, a couple of things I see in the chat.
Yes.
And there's something, man, you talked about as well. Like, how did that door open? How did she get the door open? They're not supposed to get that door open. And then I see, I believe, let me scroll up. Somebody said the door, they didn't shut the door. Well, remember, they put her in on the driver's side on the back side. She got out on the passenger side.
Right.
They never touched that door.
Exactly. Well, from the video surveillance body cam footage that was taken from one of the officers that we're about to take a look at, you'll be able to see it for yourself.
Right. It's at the bottom whenever you're ready.
Yes. All right. If I have double rainbows still moderating tonight, if we can put a trigger warning, or RJ, if you can type in trigger warning before we play this particular piece. And obviously we have to protect the content of tonight's live. In reference to this particular content, Mr. Boss Blake is going to play we are sharing this information under the copyright section of 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Copyright disclaimer: under this section, allowance is made for fair use for the purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Tonight's video is taken from a clip from one of the police officers' body cams, which will show you exactly what happened to Brianna Grier. Mr. Boss Blake?
Let me know if I need to mute up.
Okay, I'm muting up too.
If I need to mute up, let me know.
You say you want what? Yeah, let me have one. You got your camera? Yeah. It's on.
I'm not drunk. I haven't had anything to drink.
Come on, you're gonna be public drunk. Come on.
I haven't had anything.
I can smell it on you.
No, you can give me bring your breathalyzer. Bring out your breathalyzer. Bring out your breathalyzer. Bring out your breathalyzer.
So what?
Ah! Bring out your breathalyzer. Bring out your breathalyzer.
Grab it.
Ah! Get out of me!
Now you can get charged.
Get out of me!
Now you can get charged. Oh, Lord, she slipped. Oh. Brianna, you don't walk. Grab her.
Ah! Get out of me! Get out of me! Get out of me! Get out of me! I ain't broke no law. I ain't broke no law. Get out of me!
Yeah, look.
Get out of me!
There you go. It's on, lock.
I bet you I hang myself as soon as I get in there. I bet you I hang myself as soon as I get in there. I don't care. It's more than one way to kill yourself. I know what you told me. It's more than one way to kill yourself. Yeah.
Brianna, get up here.
No.
Come on.
Y'all better knock me out. And I got a flare, a sting in my heart.
Come on, Brianna.
No, why my brother?
Hold on. I know how to get over.
Take me. You can take me. You can take me. I don't care. I don't care.
Get up.
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care.
Ain't nobody gonna take you.
I don't care. 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 I don't care.
All right.
Okay, will your dome light come on in back there?
Yeah.
Cut your load light and sight, keep out.
All right.
Call them out.
All right. I got.
Hey, Constellation.
4 units gonna be en route to the SO, 1 female, 1095. The getting miles gonna be 146,211.
10-4 starting mileage 146-211-0058.
The next thing you see will be very shocking.
Run! Hell yeah! We don't need an ambulance. Brianna. Brianna. That shit unlocked by itself. You won't call the ambulance.
She's still breathing, go ahead.
27 here, go.
She's getting up. How your back door?
Hey, got 27.
Send Grady to their location.
She alright. Sit up. Sit up.
10-4.
Sit up. Sit up. Go ahead, sit up.
You need to check out.
Yeah. She jumped out the car.
That female said just jumped out the vehicle.
10-4.
Let's take the cuffs off. Take the cuffs off. Sit her up. Sit up. Sit up, Brianna. You all right? You got some water?
No, hell no. Let me get off. Here you go. I can't see shit now.
Go ahead.
I'm getting in 1018. 27 here, go. Send Grady to 1018.
That door was wide open. Wide open.
You let the cuffs stay. You let the cuffs stay.
You want to take off?
Yeah. How did she jump out the car? Don't supposed to be unlocked from the back.
Shit, ain't
We
supposed
just
to.
do a report. She fine.
What?
She fine. You got your light?
No. Yeah.
Those of you who are just joining us, we're reviewing the Brianna Grier case. Young lady who fell out of a patrol car and later died of her
Had
injuries.
Grady coming in from Hickory Roadside off Show Road.
10-4 clear.
Yeah, she can see my finger. She just doggone which car. How your back door open? But that's we write a report and just say, you know, like I said, you got it. Back door open. We're gonna try, you know, but we good. We good. Just keep the check. Brianna.
He got nothing to say. He's got nothing to say. How'd you leave the back door open? He's got nothing to say.
Brianna. Come on, this Deputy Primer. Come on.
I ain't got nothing in the car, no water, no.
Don't worry about it. She fine. Oh, I got a little bit. Hold it right here. Hold it right here. I got a little bit water. I just give her the water.
Brown.
This girl is unresponsive. That's right, Lady V. So we will just
I really couldn't tell, but I don't think so. I really couldn't tell, but I don't believe so, though. I don't know.
Exactly what they want. Exactly what they want. They'll write it up exactly the way they want. How the hell he left that damn door open?
Yeah, the one officer, he's like, he kept asking, like, how did the door get open, man? That door don't supposed to be open. But as I listen to it, it's just that dome-like noise. It made a sound early on as they drove off. I didn't know if that was the sound of her opening that door or not. But if you listen real closely, as he pulled off, you hear, dong! I was like, I wonder why I made that noise.
Right.
Was that the moment she opened that door?
It could have been a moment right there, possibly. But, she was quiet in the back of the seat.
Right.
I mean, you didn't hear her. She could have kept screaming and yelling and all this other stuff that she was doing before she was thrown into the car. But then again, as soon as the officer got in the car, everything was quiet.
Yeah, that's real. Somebody mentioned that in the chat.
Exactly. So here you have a case of someone who's injured in police custody, and to a degree that they become unresponsive due to an accident now. Because the way the officer is obviously going to report it, she accidentally came out of the patrol car.
Yes, no, ain't no
There's
way.
negligence there. There's negligence on his part because he didn't strap her in.
Yeah, point blank, period. There's no way they can hide or take the blame from themselves off of this. Whether they didn't put in a seatbelt, the door is supposed to be locked. You're supposed to confirm that door is shut. She shouldn't have no way to be able to get out the fucking door in the first place. All of it points at them. They can't run from this.
Right. It's hard to run looking at this body cam footage, that's for sure.
They can't run.
Extremely. So let us take a look at an update. Tonight is update night. And I appreciate Mr. Boss Blake joining me for this special live update. When he covered this story and information on his channel, I wrote it down and I said, if there's any updates that are coming from this, I'd like to do it with Mr. Boss Blake, as we have collaborated before on previous occasions pertaining to Ahmaud Arbery and a number of others. But let's take a look at an update as to, let's see where I am here. I got to find it. And yes, for those of you who are joining us in tonight's special live, thank you for being here. And once again, a special thank you to Miss Lorraine Muhammad for sending love and appreciation to John Q for tonight's live. Thank you so much. And once again, too, thank you, Miss Marley 13, for sending love and appreciation from our last live. I did get that. I did get it.
Molly 13.
Yeah, Molly 13. I mean, she pumps the pedal on John Q. I'm telling you.
Yeah, she's good people. Real good people. Lioness.
Oh, well, you know, you got the lioness in the house. Look out. I've got to find it. I got to find. Let's see. Oh, I think this is it.
After a woman fell.
Okay. I got to take this down. And then screen share this and then make sure the audio is on for that one. And let's see. Direct from Court TV. Exactly what the update is on this case. Things are moving on this particular case. So with that said, let's go to screen share. Wait for it to come up. Do we have a visual? Okay. We should have a visual. Yes, we do. Okay, so let's rock and roll, folks. Let's go to work.
Out of a police patrol car and died. State investigators say, though, that the deputies never closed the car's back door after her arrest. On July 15th, 28-year-old Brianna Grier was arrested by Hancock County Sheriff's deputies after they were called to a home in Sparta, Georgia. She reportedly was having a mental health crisis. The investigation shows that as deputies tried to put Grier in the patrol car, she was on the ground by the rear driver's side door, refusing to get into the car and claimed she was going to harm herself. Now we have body cam video of that and what happened after she fell out of the moving car. We do want to warn you, this may be difficult to watch.
Save me. You can save me. You can save me. I don't care. 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 I don't care.
Ain't nobody
I don't care. 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 I don't care.
Run. Hell yeah. We don't need ambulance.
Georgia Bureau of Investigation agents concluded that the rear passenger side door of the patrol car was never closed. The GBI says that the investigation shows the deputy thought he had closed the rear passenger door. Grier died from head injuries on July 21st. Her family has hired civil rights attorney Ben Crump. Here's what he had to say. Brianna Grier was a beautiful young mother who should still be alive. It is the responsibility of law enforcement to keep everyone in their custody safe and alive, including when there is a mental health crisis. Brianna's family had faith in law enforcement to get her the help she needed, and now they are being forced to grieve her completely unnecessary death. Still with me, criminal defense attorneys Jack Rice and Josh Schiffer. Listen, gentlemen, we've been together for a while on air. All three of us watching that were like, just couldn't stand to watch the police officer starting off and tasing. Start there, Josh.
It really, it's dehumanizing to watch that. And then to hear about the idea that that they didn't remember or the officer forgot whether they closed the back door. I don't know what kind of cars you guys drive. Mine has a light that pretty clear if the door is not closed. And you're talking about an officer who has an affirmative obligation to take care of the person in their custody. As soon as you are in custody, that you can't control yourself. You are dependent on another person.
And not to interrupt, but I have to say, I wonder, is it impossible to be kind at the same time enforcing being safe yourself and others?
I sit here watching this and I hear her voice and it screams mental illness. It screams it. And what you get from this officer is, I'll get her up. And then he just starts using this stun gun on her. And my problem with something like this is I regularly see officers, not all officers, but these officers who shouldn't be doing this. What they do is they escalate. They escalate everything because their answer is, well, if that doesn't work, I'll do more. But when you have mental illness, it's different. They need to pivot. Instead, what we're seeing is something else. And this is the almost foreseeable outcome when you get a failure of this type.
And that's the foreseeable, because again, they being all officers nationwide, should be receiving training on how to deal with mentally ill. So it becomes a question of, were they not trained, or rather, are they not implementing the training, Josh?
That's the real problem, and I'll tell you, they are trained. Peace officer standards training in Georgia requires some of these materials be covered for precisely this reason. If you haven't grown up or know someone with mental health issues, you don't know what it's like to interact with someone who is not oriented to time, space, and manner the way the rest of us are. And you see that lack of empathy and connection with that tasing, and that's frightening.
And it's the wiring piece of this. See, the training happens. I've had cases like this where we've had officers who are trained in this, but it's not about training somebody who is not simply capable of absorbing that training. Their response is to go a different direction, and they do. And again, this is what we see when you have people who are inappropriately in places dealing with the mentally ill. That's why we have deaths across the country.
Yes.
There was just one in Minneapolis right before I came down. And so this is just like that.
Wow, it's just like this, but I have to ask this, foreseeable. Does this mean, do you all think a civil lawsuit will prevail? I think if you just a knee-jerk reaction, look, both of you reacted when I asked that, Josh. What do you think?
So there's going to be some really specific immunities that officers rightfully are the benefit of.
Of course.
And there's going to, and Mr. Crump, who's one of the finest lawyers in the nation with these issues, knows he's got some struggle. It's the egregiousness of the factual situation that's gonna get this done.
Oh, in that case I just mentioned in Minneapolis, Crump has that case too. And what happens now is, you know what's gonna get the attention of Georgia and Minnesota and New York and California is
money.
Ching, ching.
Absolutely, money. We know that. And it's sad because it does not make the victim come back. It does not help the family heal. But I think it does draw attention to circumstances in which this was preventable, 100% preventable.
And we're seeing that conversation finally start. There were some West Coast communities that were actually going to require, I believe there's a discussion in Minneapolis right now, of requiring mental health providers, not law enforcement.
Because the FBI actually came in and had to force Minneapolis. You remember they did the same thing in New Jersey? They did it in Camden or someplace else. And so they were having to do that there. And sometimes if what it requires is imposing a change, then so be it.
Right, and another person, because you're right. I think Nima Rahmani may have some familiarity with this and may have talked about this on the West Coast, where you have mental health specialists and people trained to go with, so you can handle these.
And you look at the history of mental health in criminal justice, for generations, we had facilities for people in the community that had mental health problems, but beginning in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, we shut those all down. In the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, our prison system became the treatment choice for the mentally ill,
which is
and
not.
It wasn't a choice.
No, it's not.
In the 70s, where we saw this, the decision to go from large institutions to community institutions.
You have to tell us about that. I don't remember that, Jack. You may remember that. I can't remember back then. I'm just saying. So, you know. No, not to interrupt you, but I do, right? And everything that happened when the facilities closed, all of the people in the facilities were literally across the nation shuffled into the street.
Well, the street, and you know where they went next? Into our prisons.
Right. You're right. All right. Still much more ahead after the break. After a woman fell out of a police patrol car and
Okay. And that's the update so far in reference to what happened to this young lady falling out of a police car unsecured. We have with us on panel joining us tonight, Mr. RJ.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you doing?
How are you? Mr. Boss Blake had to step out of the office momentarily. Hopefully he will be back. He had to take care of something important, but perfect timing for you to join the panel.
Absolutely. And thank you very much for muting me immediately when I was coming up, because I was finishing off a smoothie and that would have been a horrible, horrible thing to be doing on top of that video.
Well, it's good to have you join us on the panel. What are your thoughts about what you just saw?
Well, first, I'm going to start in reverse order on this. I am highly, highly shocked that that one panelist brought up 1990s, I believe it was 1995, 96, that the state of New Jersey took over Camden. And it was for reasons completely unrelated to the cops. It wasn't the cops that were corrupt. I'm not saying there's not individuals that weren't corrupt within the police force in Camden, New Jersey, but it was the persons that were elected officials that were corrupt and the issue.
Right.
Not only for the city, but the Board of Education was worse than the city. And they had to kick them all out, start everything over from scratch so they could fix the problems of Camden, New Jersey. Once they had strong, positive leadership in Camden, things changed rapidly.
Right. So, I mean, to see what we saw, and for those of you who kind of came in the middle of it, or maybe even at the tail end of it, just go back on tonight's live and, get to that part that you missed and take a look at that body cam footage before the update was given by Court TV. All the links will be down in the description box below for your easy access to get to that particular update. I want to welcome Miss Justice for stepping into building. I saw you come in. And I mean, there are folks in the chat are responding to say, hey, officer didn't even close the damn door or made sure that his vehicle was secured.
Exactly.
With his passenger, in the back of it, that automatically all of a sudden went quiet.
See, that's the thing that's disturbing the most to me. Granted, her falling out of the vehicle is a tragedy within itself. And understand, I'm not trying to diminish that. My mind goes back to when they were putting her in the police car.
Right.
Before you heard the car door shut, you heard an audible thud. Was that her head hitting against the car as she was being tossed into the vehicle?
No,
If so, that car should have never moved, because there was a possibility of loss of consciousness right then and there, which would explain why she was extremely boisterous.
Right.
So all of a sudden saying nothing.
Exactly. Because the other officer, was kind of dumbfounded. It said, I mean, she came out your car. What you left the door open? But yet he was unresponsive. He did not say a damn word.
Yes, Leanne, exactly. That is exactly where it is.
I felt like he was standing there scratching his head. Well, I don't know. I thought it was closed. I thought it was locked. Yep. There wouldn't have been no need for that side of the vehicle to be open when I got out the driver's side. And you saw me put her in on the driver's side.
Right.
In the rear, and closed the door, got in my vehicle and started driving. So how the hell could you start doing that? And you didn't even put a seatbelt on this girl.
Right. And on top of that, that's something that the officer, if there was some sort of malfunction on the vehicle, the officer should have noted that before shift. I've driven trucks, 18-wheelers, for a short amount of time. you have to do a pre-check on a vehicle in that type of situation. I'm not comparing a truck, an 18-wheeler, to a police vehicle. Please understand that. But I would believe that because of there being considered to be a professional driver, an officer driving a cop car, a fireman driving a piece of or apparatus for the fire department, ambulance, you have to have a CDL. You have to go through that experience of because you could end up having to pull over a CDL, an 18-wheeler, or you have to understand the inner and out workings of it. Okay, so they have to have just not the normal licensing. And one of the things they teach you going through that CDL course training, no matter what kind of vehicle you drive, you always inspect your vehicle. And I would imagine checking to make sure that the doors are securing themselves properly would be part of that search.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's safety protocol.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
It's been a lot of the cases that, especially the Jermaine Covington case, the 41-year-old that was taken into New Jersey police custody and was able to get to an officer's weapon, take it from the officer, and of course, allegedly commit suicide with the officer's gun. Inside the precinct where he was being booked. And when these types of mistakes happen, where once again, safety protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Here, Brianna Grier being shoved into a police vehicle, and with the door slammed behind her. I mean, the treatment that these officers, demonstrate on the public, inflict on the public, impose on the public, shit's gotta change.
Now, I understand if it's a life-threatening.
He's dealing with a female, and he's not assessed the situation properly to say, well, let me be more concerning of her.
Mm-hmm.
To be dragged across the ground because you need the arrest. You got to get her downtown like an animal. And you have to go figure out why people feel the way they do about how these police officers treat other people.
Yep, exactly. And that's a point I was going to make is they're acting with no regard to human life.
Oh, absolutely no regard.
It's as if their own lives. And I'm not saying that their lives are not important, but during Uvalde, during the Senate trials, the Texas Senate trials, one of the persons that I don't remember who it was that was on the Texas Senate hearing board. No, it was not. It was a police officer from another department. Said that in a situation like that, when you walk into a situation like Uvalde, or you walk into your day every single day, if you are not prepared and have all your affairs in order and prepared to walk into a situation where you may be required to lay your life down for the safety of another person, you've already failed your job.
Right.
And that's exactly what happened with these officers. They failed to do their job.
That's a very interesting point, Miss Leanne. You see what she asked? Didn't even look like she had the cuffs on when they got out of the car. Did she?
That's a good question. They did make the remark of saying, take the cuffs off.
Now we got Mr. Boss Blake back in the house. Thank you, Mr. Boss Blake. for rejoining us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm on the road, so I just was tuning in and I heard you.
Yeah, did you notice if during that because we've only looked at it, I've looked at it just twice. Did you notice whether she was still handcuffed when they approached her when she was on the ground?
When they approached her?
Yeah, when they had noticed that she was out of the car and the officer walked over to her and the secondary officer put her
Yeah,
on
she
his
still had
knee to try
handcuffs.
to. Okay.
Yeah, she still had handcuffs on because
Yeah, because
he
I'm
he
freaking
asked
out
her
over
like
here.
he asked the cop like, "You got the keys? Let me take these handcuffs off her. Let me take your handcuffs off her." But then all of a sudden he changed his mind. But
Right.
one thing I wanted to point out was what you were talking about, RJ, as far as the training they should have, with these vehicles and inspecting the car and making sure everything is A-OK. Because for one, not only are you protecting and serving the community, when you have someone in your car, you're responsible for them. But that also goes with medical emergencies as well. And the only reason I brought this up because I was talking to you about this last night, John,
Right.
about watching a video on my page where this dude was stabbed. And the lady who stabbed him, they didn't even know that was her. But she said, "Are you going to help him or are you just going to let him bleed out?"
Right.
And they never, he said, "Well, we're not medical. Well, medical's on the way." Whoa, wait a minute. You were trained to at least, stop the bleeding until they get here. You did nothing. So the training they go through is for medical. No, you don't go through an extensive, training like someone who's actually in that profession.
Right.
But you should try to preserve life. They didn't.
Exactly.
That dude died because he waited 27 minutes before they got there, and then another 30 minutes after they got there. So this dude waited for a whole hour, bro, because they refused to help this man. But these are the type of people that, we supposed to respect and the code of blue. Man, fuck your code of blue, man.
Right.
I'm not saying all cops are dirty, but I'm tired of seeing stuff like that, man.
Yeah. Especially from law
But
enforcement.
respect them? No, man. Do your job. That's how you get respect from me.
Exactly.
Bossman, I'm in the same position as you. I've seen throughout my whole entire life. I've seen too much corruption and too much the bullshit. Excuse my language. Happening. I made a reference to, and I don't know if anybody ever looked it up. But I lived in Philadelphia vicinity when the movement happened in, I believe it was like 85. Okay. The Philadelphia police believed they were so powerful and so untouchable that because they couldn't resolve a community relations issue in the Osage Avenue area of Philadelphia, that they were trying to find a person, a couple of people that had warrants, and this community had formed a strong union called the Movement. And I'm not going to go into details of what their political stances are, that, and the other, but Philadelphia police decided it was their responsibility to drop satchels from a helicopter onto the row homes of that where these persons lived, and these satchels were bombs.
Wow.
Man. Did you see what Carol Smith wrote? And they could have gotten on the radio before any apprehension and called for a female officer to assist.
Exactly.
Even medical at the same time to assist, to truly evaluate what was going on with Brianna before they took her in like that. This officer had no regard for, who she was, what was going on with her. All he was concerned about was getting her downtown. Man pulled out a taser and she's handcuffed. Look at this, folks. This officer pulled out a taser and Brianna was already handcuffed on the ground because she wouldn't get up and get in the car herself. She's under duress, stupid. I mean, plain and simple, anyone watching that video for the first time, a 4-year-old would say he's stupid. I mean, easy. I mean, to try to even coerce her to get into that vehicle by pulling out a taser to escalate, if you will, the situation from where it was is absolutely ridiculous and unacceptable. Absolutely unacceptable. I felt so bad, and I'm sitting, holding back my feelings because I look at these cases objectively, but to see the disregard, every single one of these cases involving officers, the disregard for human life because they want to get you downtown. So I said, oh, so that I can be looked at by doing my job. Hell, if that's what your job consists of, you need to be fired.
Hey, and it's just like the case I was just telling you about. The guys in the elevator stabbed to death, and he's telling them, crawl off the elevator, crawl out of the elevator. The dude is stabbed. The dude is bleeding out. You're not gonna help him? You're not gonna help him? Crawl out of the elevator. Like the man got some type of disease or something, bro. Like, what the fuck is your problem?
Absolutely.
Shit crazy, man.
Absolutely. And it just bothers me to see shit like that. And they just want to brush it off. I just want to brush it off. Now, when we covered Jermaine Covington's case, I showed a video which I believe took place out in Los Angeles. And it was a police booking area. And there were 2 officers sitting behind a desk in a very small booking area. They had benches and they had the bars on the side of the walls, where they handcuffed their prisoners, so to speak, those that they've taken in custody, to secure them so that they don't abruptly jump or grab an officer's gun, et cetera, et cetera. This guy jumped up. I was sitting on a bench, and I'm sure that those of you who were with us saw that. I went to grab some pills off of the desk of the 2 officers that was in front of him, and they beat him through the desk to try to prevent him from getting those pills, not an officer's weapon or anything other than the pills that were on the desk. They beat him through the desk, and literally there was a hole which held the computer monitor, had a hole in it. Through that hole, through the desk, tore the desk apart, trying to detain and contain this, and he was handcuffed from behind. Just total disregard. And then you had 5 other officers jump into that small area, guns on the sides of their in their holsters, jump into that area to help the 2 officers try to detain and control this one guy. Knees on his back, knees on his legs. He's being tased, and the man is down. 7 officers, 8, 9, 10. They were flooding into that area. All for one person. No one was in any critical danger, but just a total disregard. He could have had a mental health issue at that moment. And the frickin' officer sitting behind the desk was promoted to police chief shortly thereafter. No further word was said about anything. And in fact, that was evidence, that video surveillance footage that we showed was evidence that was withheld from the court, that the court never got a chance to see. I'm talking about stuff like that. That's why that Attorney General, one who was handling the Breonna Taylor case, had one officer that went to trial that was based on a grand jury indictment for wanton endangerment with his weapon. That's why he needs to be looked at, because he could have withheld specific evidence that didn't allow the other 3 officers, the same ones that got federally indicted, put on the table too. And his attitude and demeanor toward the case was totally outrageous. Absolutely outrageous. And celebrities from across the country heard about what happened, and they were very disappointed in the verdict to acquit this guy. And all this guy had to say was, oh, well, he was doing his job. That's not what the federal people are saying now. So that you know they're eating crow. You know they're eating crow now. But yeah, he needs to be looked at. And get rid of the junk in these police precincts, in these offices. Man, it stinks. If you don't want to do the job right, get the hell out. Let somebody else handle the job, follow the protocol, do the job they're supposed to do. And maybe we'll have a safer environment rather than a bunch of knuckleheads that may be on steroids or stressed the hell out or maybe even on medication themselves. We don't know. They're walking up and down like they're God blessed and God sent compared to the populace out there.
Power trip. That's what they are.
Yeah.
Exactly. John, I don't mean to interrupt or Bossman. I think this is a question for both of you more than myself. Carol Smith is asking, she said, John Q, can you can tell, make it a statement more than a question, but you can tell that the body footage was edited. Like we're doing a lot of these cases nowadays. When the first showing, I'm just going to put my 2 cents into this and turn it into a question. On the original footage that you showed, it doesn't look like there was any sort of editing. To me, and this is why I'm going to say this is a question. To me, when what was it, Law and Crime Channel had reviewed the video, that's when the editing had happened. Does that seem like that is correct to you, both of you?
Well, I mean, the court TV was a second update on that particular case and everything. So when they showed the same video that Boss Blake showed, but a small edited portion of it, they didn't want to get into the graphics of what the police officers were doing. To some degree, they're not going to hyper sensationalize what the body cam footage shown in its entirety was going to reveal because of the nature of it. That's why I said there were trigger warning sent out in the chat room because of its nature. It is extremely graphic. It is extremely no regard, care, as we quote unquote believe these police officers to be. And so they didn't want to take away from that. They had their reasons for the snippet and cuts and edits just to bring the story to light and then cover the additional information on there. But going back to the original body cam footage, as far as I know, we can ask Mr. Boss Blake, had that footage, the one that you presented here tonight, was that an edited portion or was that in its entirety that
The
you know of?
the footage that I showed,
Yes.
it was entirely in full when I got it. What I did to the footage, which you guys probably wouldn't give a damn anyway, the officer who car she was in, he dropped his Bluetooth, and they spent about probably 5-6 minutes looking for his Bluetooth. I cut all that shit out. That was not important to me.
Oh
So
my
I cut
goodness.
that out. The rest of it was exactly how it was.
Okay. Well, Bossman, I appreciate you clarifying that, because it was in the chat, they were questioning whether it was edited or what was the story, what was going on with it. So I personally appreciate you clarifying that. But that actually adds to more of what I was saying. The thud before they closed the door, was that her head striking the vehicle? Now we have her being unconscious and unattended for it was a couple moments for them to stand there and talk for a minute after he closed the door, and then 5 to 6 minutes on top of that. That is a lot of time.
But how would she got out the car though? If the door hit her head and she went unconscious, how would she get out the other side of the car?
This is what I was saying. We don't know the safety inspection on that vehicle that day.
Right.
And there could have been a malfunction that the officers should have noted, and that actual unit should be taken out of service. That is only one possibility. But there's also the possibility that that door was opened.
Oh man, that's a hard one. That's
when he arrived.
Because if she fell out, and this car's in motion, to some degree, vehicles in motion, depending on how fast he was driving, that door should have closed and we should have heard it.
Exactly. John, that's exactly the point I was driving towards.
Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Knowing that if that door was wide open and him pulling out, thinking about it now, that door should have automatically, upon that car pulling out, automatically jar that door to the point to where it would have closed because of the car pull off.
And then we have the question of...
We didn't hear that. We didn't hear that.
And if that was the case, we then have the question of, was there enough inertia for that door to close properly and completely?
Exactly. So, yeah, that's a funny case. We're going to stay on top of it. Benjamin Crump is definitely on board with this particular case, Brianna Grier. And it's sad to see, once again, police officials behaving in ways unbecoming. Totally unbecoming.
He's actually on both of the cases, right?
What's that?
He's actually on both of the Brianna cases.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. He's got a double Brianna case on his desk, and I'm sure that this is going to be a justice for her, because the woman went into a coma and died of her injuries. She had a cerebral edema, which that word takes me back to the Kanika Jenkins case, because that's exactly what Kanika had.
Yes.
The evidence of that in the autopsy, and we're going to follow this case to see if we can get the autopsy report as well, because I want to find out how severe the subdural hematoma, the cerebral edema, the swelling of the brain, and where on the brain, what part of it was affected, is going to tell us a lot about how she fell out that car, what portion of her head hit first that caused her to be unresponsive when that officer realized that she's on the ground behind the patrol car.
John, to go from how boisterous she was to being absolutely silent.
Yeah.
She would not have stopped protesting because she was in the backseat of a police vehicle. she would have been more boisterous then, just by going by normal person's reactions.
Right.
I have to agree with you. I never thought about that. She did get quiet pretty damn fast.
Very fast.
I don't think she was conscious when they put her in the back of that vehicle. That's why I'm saying this is. I think that if you were to go back and listen to it, there was a thud, and then the officer steps out of the way, whether you couldn't see it clearly on the camera. Then the officer steps out to close the door, and there was a second thud for the door closing.
And think about that. Just think about it, because I seen somebody in the chat say something about a broken neck. And I was like, no, I don't think her neck was broken. Just imagine where her head was next door, hitting her on the top of her dome. Could have pushed her neck in.
Yeah.
That was Charlie K. That was Charlie K.
They're moving, and then they're moving her. You know,
oh my God,
they're moving her, causing more damage than they realize, not knowing if she hit her head, but common sense says, hey, you had a passenger in the back of your vehicle in handcuffs that somehow, depending on how fast you were going, fell out your car, and now they're on the ground.
Yeah.
You don't move anybody out of their position without calling for medical assistance and backup.
Absolutely.
See, I personally go back to that car should have never left the driveway. An ambulance crew should have been called, because a person does not go from a 9 or a 10 down to a 0 in a heartbeat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that one officer, he had no compassion for her at all.
Yeah.
None.
Yeah. You know, so yeah, you know, these officers definitely need some kind of protocol change. Yeah. Knowing that they're dealing with the public concerning possible mental health issues, unbeknownst to them during the time of a call situation, and they need to have mental health professionals with them on those calls. In the event they have to deal with someone like Brianna Grier.
They're actually supposed to, doing my research, because I was going to do a live about dealing with these type of people. They supposed to reach out to professionals to help, especially when in one of those situations where it gets real escalated and they don't want to use no type of deadly force. They supposed to have professionals on the scene immediately to help, or someone that's in the department that's trained for this, like a negotiator. You know what I'm saying? And you don't see none of these people on these scenes.
Let's pause on that for a second, and let's think about what we're saying on that one, because I don't think that, and this is my personal opinion, I don't think that's a wise situation. Because if you're talking about putting a mental health worker, a social worker, in a cop car, or in a cop where it's a situation of unpredictability with dealing with somebody's mental health, you're just adding another person to the situation that now that officer has to protect.
No. They're supposed to call them to the scene.
Right.
But
just like an ambulance for any kind of medical emergency.
Right.
What I'm saying though is the current ideology that's being put out there is to actually put a social worker in a cop car.
No.
In that situation.
We're not saying that at all.
Okay,
I want to make sure to be called to the scene, bro. Just like you would call an ambulance.
I want to make sure we're on the same page, because I want to be very careful and very clear about that, because the current ideology that's being floated out there is in a mental health situation is to put a social worker in the cop car and have them arrive at the scene with the social worker and only be there to back up the social worker. So it's not a good situation what they're trying to do, and they're trying to enforce on the police.
No, I mean,
Let
the idea is for officers to be clear enough to assess if a person needs any kind of psychiatric addressing or mental health addressing. They get on the wire just like they would do a regular 911 to emergency services. Same deal. They don't need to be in the car. They don't need to be in a SWAT truck. They don't need to be in a freaking police bus or a helicopter or any of the tools that they use out there, other than the fact that they need true blue police officers trained to assess a mental health situation.
Right, and where the wind blows, a 5150 cop usually takes them to a hospital and then to a facility. I'm saying that yes, in some situations, it is necessary for officer safety and integrity to put the person in handcuffs. But I'm not saying that, I'm saying that the then contact. Excuse me, let me correct myself. I am saying then contact a social worker. Work with the social worker to figure out what the best course of action is. What happened to this woman, Brianna Grier is her name?
Grier, yeah.
Is absolutely archaic. It should not have happened.
He treated her like he was a Neanderthal, primitive in his species.
Exactly.
But I wanted to share that particular case with our audience tonight because there was an update on that from Court TV. And we will be following that case carefully, closely. I want to see the autopsy so I can read it myself. So if anyone gets their hands on the autopsy document, please email it to me. It'll be in the description box below this live. And we will be following up. Benjamin Crump is the attorney for the family, and so we're following Breonna Taylor's case. We're also going to follow Brianna Grier's case to be sure that wherever the case goes, we're going to be following it and bringing you up to date and up to speed as to the developments of how that case is unfolding. I wanted to also get to. I have to skip one portion because I know time is of the essence, and bring you an update on, well, let's see if I can find it because it's a good one. It is a good update, and if you're ready, but it's an update pertaining to the roundtable. Okay. As you know,
love that video.
Mr. Boss Blake put that together, that video piece together like in a heartbeat, and he sent it to me. And I said, okay, well, anytime we have an update pertaining to the roundtable, at least it's quick enough to flash up there, and then we can give the update on it. Thank you, Mr. Boss Blake. Oh, things are just moving. I'm loving it. I'm loving it. And I want to thank everybody in the chat who's been commenting like crazy on the case updates that we've been covering. I do appreciate all of your comments. I'm reading them, but to also post them like I've been posting them like this, it does take a little bit more task work for me to do, but I am reading the comments and trying to get through tonight's live at the same time. So I do love and appreciate all of your comments pertaining to what we've been covering. The update for the roundtable. We did a table talk on Monday, and as very exclusive and special table talk with Miss 54 Keyz and the one and only Mr. Boss Blake in regards to a new project called The Round Table. If you once again have missed that live, go back after tonight's live and check that live out. Support that live because that is a work in progress. It is a work in progress. And what it is a panel team consisting of content creators, subscribers, viewers, people who are interested in working together on these particular cases that we do cover on our channels. Okay? And so with that, we as a team can review all of the case facts, autopsy reports, toxicology, crime scene photos, video surveillance footage, and have a team in place to make sure that the integrity of the information is accurate and correct. This is the reason for the roundtable, so that this way, any news facts that we can get from Court TV will be a part of that casework. Any, as I said, police reports, physical police reports, physical court documents, etc., we could get our hands on and make sure that we vet the information thoroughly, properly, and securely. And this way, we can go online whenever we have these cases and expose it with the facts and not innuendo, speculation, the regular YouTube jargon. Hence the stand for the roundtable. And then the philosophy of the roundtable is a team of folks working in a complementary and interdependent way, working together in harmony and balance to produce results and getting to the truth. That is the philosophy, hence the mission statement of the roundtable. And I am very proud to mention here tonight that I had a phone call, like either yesterday or today. Can't tell. Time is just moving.
It was yesterday.
To confirm that we do have a interested party looking to be a member of that power panel, the roundtable. And that person is none other than Mr. RJ has put his application on the table to be a part of the roundtable.
Absolutely.
How do you feel about that?
I think you put it a very interesting way. I think that this is going to be a wonderful thing that that draws a line in the proverbial line in the sand, and it's going to focus on. And I say this without trying to cause any drama, of a division of who in the true crime community is on the drama side of it, and who is the serious content creators that want to look at the facts, want to put them on a fire and burn them, boil them down to the nothing but the absolute truth. And it's something that I feel it needs to be done. And I look forward and hopeful to have be a very big part of it.
Yes, absolutely. Well, as far as I know, and I'm sure Mr. Boss Blake knows, we've already collaborated together with you on a number of occasions, from
Absolutely.
the Uvalde, Texas shooting to the Buffalo, New York shooting, the Summer Wells case, and we've had a tremendous collaboration success with you. So to have you as part of the team, the roundtable, is a pleasure and an honor.
I appreciate it, because I think this is going to be something that's going to land up being very big, as you and I did discuss. It's going to take time to get there. You're going to see parts move in and out until we get everything absolutely secured. And it's not going to be something that just because somebody presents a different idea or a different point of view, they're going to be pushed out of the group. It's who's putting the work in.
Right. Precisely. And for those that are interested in the roundtable in a different way, not necessarily being on panel and presenting content, covering a case, but you can also work behind the scenes. We're going to have a tremendous big back office of folks that has expertise in accessing information on the internet, court documents, medical records, things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
See, so if you feel that you have a flair for researching information that can make a positive contribution to the roundtable panelists and the members, then please email us. Let us know, so that this way we can put your name on the table for review and to connect with you in a way that will allow you to be a part of something very big, very different, very unique, and to have a unified group to work together in front and in the back to meet together is what the philosophy of the roundtable is all about. Complementary and interdependent folks working together in harmony and balance to produce results in seeking and finding the truth on these cases.
Absolutely. John, and I'm not trying to quickly switch gears away from that. I know you said you're kind of skip over more review, more. I see what time it is and everything. If you don't mind, I would like to go over one more update, and it's something that's been very quiet and quietly done, and that is.
You've got 5 minutes. No, I'm only kidding. Well,
no, and real seriously, it's not. It's more for everybody to research and look up and look into.
Okay.
Buffalo, New York, Tops grocery store. They reopened very quietly, like I was mentioning. They did not do it with a public flair. Did not do it with a huge ceremony. They reopened, I believe it was, actually I can tell you the exact date. Bear with me just a second here. I just saw the date a little bit ago, and I forgot the date that quick. I believe it was July 17th. Or July 15th, rather. My apologies. It was a Friday. And they reopened the store. And after 2 months of, after what happened, the tragedy that happened there, and they actually did a remodel on that store in 2 months' time. Not only did they remodel the store outside, inside, increase the security, protection for the employees and the persons that are shopping in there. But they actually have a memorial in the store now to what happened 2 months prior. Forget the exact date off the top of my head. My apologies. It was a poet laureate who wrote a poem, and they turned it into a huge placard and display. A very beautiful thing written. I would encourage anybody to go take the time to look that up. All you do, I really do have to do, is Google the store reopened, Buffalo, New York tops, and type in memorial, and it'll come up. But it's a huge victory for Buffalo that this store reopened as quick as it did from what happened. The whole entire front of the building has been redone. The inside has been redone as well. It's not like they tore it down and rebuilt the building. They did facelift and necessary changes. Actually, John, if you want, bear with me a second here. I think I have a different picture of that. Check the back chat, John. I got dropping a link in there for you right now.
Oh, okay. You see, I'm going to work. Oh my goodness.
There's another.
We don't play around when we get to doing the research and stuff.
No, we don't. No, I had some information lined up already. And so I'm just dropping this for him. There's also another one I'm dropping. It's your choice if you want to use this or not. It's actually a slideshow that shows some of the improvements or changes that not only to the exterior of the store, but the interior as well.
Okay.
It's another news source. I don't know if you want to try to use it. It's, like I said, your choice.
Well, we will definitely produce a separate live and cover the update that you're sharing with us tonight, and we can go into more depth as long as you want, as much as you want, and everything to cover all the information pertaining to the new developments in the Buffalo, New York.
Right. Right. And to go into a lot of the other details, it would take more time than I would want to keep people, because John Q and I are in agreement. 2.5 hours is more than sufficient time. So I just wanted to real quickly throw that out there. The Tops grocery store has reopened and show what it now looks like. That they, in 2 months' time, that they pulled all the resources together that they had to do to improve the appearance and correct problems that were within the store itself.
Right. Okay. Miss Anna, if she's still in the chat, thank you very much, love, for your love and appreciation. Oh my goodness. When John Q goes to work, it is people like, okay, he working tonight. I'm gonna show him some love. Appreciate that. Oh my goodness. Oh wow. Yeah, we'll definitely have some time to put together a live, and we can do it exclusively covering the updates for the Buffalo, New York shooting, that case. We're following it carefully for any new developments that comes out of the district attorney's office in reference to the individual that was involved directly with the shooting of the folks that were shopping at that store. We're waiting for additional medical evaluations to come back. As the case begins to proceed, we will definitely give you updates when we get them.
Right.
Well.
There's been some updates involved, and I want to respectfully save that for a live for itself. But just the fact that Tops was reopened, that grocery store was reopened, is a victory for the community, and that's what I wanted to draw attention to tonight.
Absolutely. My goodness. So let me see if I covered everything here. Make sure I got that. All right. And last but not least, we have a final update I wanted to give you in reference to the Daniel Robinson case, the 25-year-old field geologist that went missing in Buckeye, Arizona. we have an update coming tomorrow night. And that update is going to be live at 8:30. I've already posted it. You'll want to be here. And it's going to be a live directly with Mr. David Robinson, Daniel's father. He's going to be coming back and sharing new case developments that he can publicly share. And man, oh man, the information he's going to share is going to be a heavy load. We found out that somebody lied big time. I'll let him share that. We found some information regarding what was contained on his telephone, Daniel's phone. I'll let him share that. He's put together a timeline for the events that happened the morning Daniel was supposed to show up at that second well from the first well pertaining to Verrado. His how he got from the first site to the second site, and I'll allow him to share that information as well. I mean, it's a head twister, because when I found out what he shared with me when we spoke on the phone, I said, we got to do an update. We got to do an update. I know we were supposed to do it before, but he was able to capture more information that he's already processed with his attorney to share publicly now. Because I told David, I said, look, I already got suspects. I got them lined up in a folder. We know what they look like. We know where they are. We know where they live. We know where they work. We know where their offices are. We know how many people. All that stuff. We know who the rancher is who found Daniel's Jeep. A damn cowboy. We know his partner, Shannon, who was with him the day that they found Daniel's Jeep out there on the 19th. On the 19th, which is a weekend, Friday, on the 19th. Hence, Daniel was reported missing on the 23rd. We know who Shannon is. He's another cowboy. He works with the cattle rancher that found Daniel's Jeep. They were together. They found Daniel's Jeep together, too. They acted kind of funny when they were out there in the desert talking to police chief. You know, Larry Hall. They're buddies. I don't want to get too deep. But yeah, I got a file I want to unload on this case. Hence, it's an open investigation. I do not want to do anything to interfere with what Mr. Robinson has already found out. And I told him that. And he says, oh, much love and respect to you, John, for doing it. I know how you feel. I know you want to release it, but you know, I said, no, I'm tempered. You know, so what I'm going to do is to take the case file and make it one of the top files next to Breonna Taylor's file, next to Brianna Grier's file, next to the Buffalo, New York shooting file, next to the Uvalde, Texas shooting file, next to the Summer Wells file, next to the Jermaine Covington file. I'm going to put all the files on the table, and we're going to take them to the round table. The round table is designed for this particular review. That's what we're going to do. That's exactly what we're going to do. So tomorrow night, don't miss tomorrow night's live. Let everyone know. Share that tomorrow night's link. It's already been posted, so share it out for a special live with Mr. David Robinson. Still looking for his son, Daniel Robinson, field geologist who went missing on June 23rd. of 2021, 8 days after Summer Wells went missing on June 15th of 2021. We've got our caseload all on the table. And as you can see, things are heating up. I see y'all dropping fire in there. Yes, John Q is on fire. I told you, the best is yet to come. These updates tonight is just a warm-up. I will be bringing you weekly updates as I get them to share with you. So you'll be seeing John Q a whole lot more than to wait 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. You won't have to do that. And yes, Carol Smith, I did see an email in my box from you. I will review it after the live is over. Thank you so much. Even got Carol Smith already joining in the back offices of the roundtable tonight. Much love to you, Carol Smith. And there was another, thank you. There was somebody else who sent me love and appreciation. Oh my goodness, I don't want to forget. I said, oh, I got to write it down. I got to write it down. Let me see. I'll get it the next time, I promise you. I think her name was Carolyn. I'll just say Carolyn. If she's in the chat, much love to you, Carolyn, for sending that. Also, one more again. I reached out to Truth for Reality via email just the other day. I have made contact with him. We have yet to speak because I did request that we speak by phone. Another content creator who covered the Kenneka Jenkins case on his channel did awesome work to let him know two things. One, I want to do a table talk with him. Get him on the show so we can learn who Truth for Reality is, the kind of work that he does, and the work that he has done and is doing on his channel. That'll be a dynamic table talk that will be pending at this point. The other is to also invite him to the roundtable, knowing that there will be an access venue that he could use in addition to cover his cases with, and have a very strong panel to back him up. That's what we're looking to do. There is another person who wants to put their application on the table. Her name is Shamina. She did make a comment on the Table Talk Live, complimenting us. You should see the comments under that Table Talk Live we did with 54 Keyz and Boss Blake. They're growing. It's growing like wildfire. And we appreciate the love and the comments supporting that effort, because we're going to need a lot of help. We don't know everything, folks. Like I said, we're not law enforcement. We're not medical. We're not, legal minds and stuff. But we are looking for those types of people to work with. That way we know the information is solid. If it's medical, it'll be solid. If it's legal, it'll be solid. Based on autopsies and things of it, it'll be solid. Toxicology, solid. Crime scene photos, video surveillance, software systems, and all this other stuff that we learned from the Kenneka Jenkins case, it'll be solid. That's the team that we're looking to put together. That's the team to work, that'll put work in and keep case facts straight. This way, nothing goes crooked. That's what we're doing, folks. We have escalated our channels and our work to unify, so that we can become for lack of a better word I can think of right now, a universal mind, if you will. All minds becoming one. All minds becoming one. We're not going to get everybody. We don't want everybody. However, that group will have that kind of universal mind theme to it. It's a work in progress. This is not going to happen overnight. We don't expect it to. This is going to gradually unfold, gradually take shape, form, color, size, dynamics, characteristics, you name it. That's what we're looking for. That's what we're looking to do, and that's what's getting done. All right, was there anything else other than you guys have been tremendous tonight? I hope the updates did bring you up to speed, and it was definitely worth your time. I'm near the 3-hour mark, so I am definitely on time. Thank you, Mr. Boss Blake, for joining us tonight with a special update on the Brianna Grier case. Thank you, Mr. RJ, for bringing us up to speed on the Buffalo, New York situation and making commentary on the Grier case. I want to thank everyone who supported me on the Breonna Taylor case, as well as Classic and Sincere, our California City boys. That case is moving. We'll keep you updated as we get it. And we look forward to touching base with you once again for an exciting table talk this Sunday. But I'm excited about tomorrow night with Mr. David Robinson. That's going to be a very special live. We're moving along, folks. And yes, you'll get to see a whole lot more of me. Any closing thoughts to the chat before we bounce? Did you hear about the Louisiana mom that went on live after stabbing her kids? Then right after that, an Oklahoma man went live and shot 3 of his kids and himself all this past week. No, Carol Smith. Wow. Wow. My goodness. That's terrible. That's terrible. And you see, these cases are unfolding. There's a case out there right now. Kylie Rodney. I think it's Kylie Rodney, 16-year-old. I went to a party and didn't come back home. Went missing last week or something like that. That's starting to catch some wildfire out there. I'm starting to notice a number of channels that's been covering that case. I automatically said foul play because someone waited for her to become inebriated and wanted to get something that she said no to. Okay, RJ, I was going to do a live on Saturday. Okay, keep me posted, RJ. I don't have anything planned for Saturday, so keep me posted on that. So that if you need a collaboration, we're here. And we're there to support your channel and let everyone know. I want to thank Double Rainbows for dropping all the links tonight. RJ, Boss Blake, and a host of other links that she constantly drops just to make sure that our viewers have the information as we move forward and along the days to come. All right. You sent both videos on those cases to your email. Thank you, Carol. Thank you. And I look forward to your emails and corresponding with you, on the information sent. I'm still working on the comments from the table talk. Those are still coming in. So I'm taking care of those. Also from the Breonna Taylor case, those comments are still coming in as well. So y'all got me working my fingers over here. Not only on my computer, on my phone too. My tablet. My tablet went dead working on it so much. But that's what kind of love we have in the room. Absolutely. All who made a love contribution and appreciation, thank you so much. They definitely keep us moving. You know, every little bit counts. It goes back into the channel, looking to upgrade, modify, change, upgrade on storage for a lot of the video work that we're covering on the channel. So every little bit counts, and every little bit does, especially for John Q. Oh yeah. So with that said, folks, I'm going to leave it like it is. Short, sweet, and to the point. I send out much love to every single one of you. As always, be good to each other. Make a phone call to someone you haven't spoken to in a while. Say hello. See how they're doing. The world we live in is a very strange place because it's got people on it. That's what makes it strange. To a certain degree. To a certain degree. We can at least isolate where that what that strangeness is and where it's coming from, because it's being posted every day of our lives out here. So yeah, be good to each other. Take care of one another. And you know how I always end it. You know how I always end it. I got to take a look at the chat. Be well and stay blessed with Godspeed. Thank you all again for supporting tonight's live. We'll see you next time. Take care.